I'm always afraid I'm gonna
Squish my
onto
foot.
your toe. Yeah.
Welcome to Hyper.
Fuck you. The last episode that we just released today. God, is it still fresh?
Yeah.
I had to use the microphone on the stand.
Yeah. This is when we had Patrick.
We only had two boom arms.
Yeah.
And I was like,
just like directly like.
And I was talkative. I had a lot to say about sandwiches, and so it's just.
I kept trying to say things, and you were like, "Hold on, I have things to say." Oh my god.
You've also said you have this crazy mustache hair. You do that to me a lot, so I'm just giving it back.
Yeah.
Do you know what that shirt reminds me of? I'll give you one good guess. It says "Best Cat Dad Ever." Are you gonna guess? Or are you gonna?
Shanna got me this custom shirt for my birthday or Christmas.
Father's Day.
Father's Day. Right. What does it remind you
of? Jimmy's food store.
Oh yeah. That was a good time.
You just started working with a really cool company as like part-time weekends.
Well, yeah, I'd been doing like freelance work for a creative agency.
Yeah.
So, and they're like, you know, they're the cool kids. Yeah. The producer's not that.
That's a cat interruption that I don't want in the background because it sounds so dramatic.
Oh yeah, they haven't screamed on camera yet.
Let's not will that into existence.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I just started working as like a freelancer for this creative agency, and like, you know, they're like, you know, the group that from when I first started doing design work professionally, it's like you hear about this group, and I'm just like, oh, they're so cool.
Well, they're like Don Draper, Mad Men.
Well, they're not very. No, they're more like just like cool creatives. Like they're not like.
Okay, so they're like Stan and Peggy.
Yeah, you know, and they're just, you know, they work on all the cool projects and everything, and I was working from home. Aside from that, and like, you know, I was doing remote work for them, and it was like the middle of the day on a Wednesday or something, and we go to Jimmy's food store, which is like the local Italian grocer. They sell fantastic sandwiches, and Jimmy's, if you want to sponsor, we'll do it for sandwiches.
I actually tagged them in my post today because I included some pictures of like favorite sandwiches.
Yeah.
Will work for Italian stallions.
But I'm wearing like my workout shorts. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure they were like my smallest workout shorts too.
You outgrew those a while ago.
And then I had like gray slides on, just like flip flops, like the cheapest like $5 flip flops that I got from Amazon, just because I wanted something to wear when I went outside. And they're also too small for me.
You are just, like, for the record, not a slides person. Absolutely not a slides in public person.
No.
So this was a like exception.
This is like, let's go get sandwiches immediately.
For whatever.
I don't have time to put socks on.
Maybe you had like a call or something, and like we just need to go.
Yeah, and then I was wearing this shirt. The Best Cat Dad Ever shirt, and like I'm sure my hair looked fucking stupid.
Your hair is probably insane.
Yeah.
And okay, keep going.
And you know, we're walking around Jimmy's, we put in our sandwich order, and you've got to wait like 10 minutes for them to make it. And so I'm just walking around, and I see this guy Chase, who I've worked with. He's one of like the associate creative director or something. And you know, I walk past him, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that was Chase. And he's like, Spencer, oh, hey.
Oh, hi.
Hey, dude, how's it going? And I'm just like, I'm good. And I think he goes, the camera was in focus, dude. We focused it, remember? It's okay. Thank you for checking. But,
so cute.
And he's like, I think he said like, what, you still working from home? And I'm like,
clearly.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure even better, you had like a bag of chips.
Yeah.
I feel like you had a bag of chips that you were like actively eating. You turned a corner, you're like, Spencer, and you go, hey.
Yeah. Don't put your nose on the lens.
Come here. Oh.
But
no.
and also don't step on the laptop.
He was about to just fully step on it. Oh God. Okay. Sorry.
The producers. Can you guys
They sleep all day.
Can you guys sort this stuff out before we start?
They sleep all day. And then they're like, wait, what are you doing?
Wait, should I think I should come up there.
We've been down here like cooking food and hanging out, and then they're like, that thing's on.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm always afraid that we are going to miss two things. So I'm just going to do the tradition. I'm going to cut to the chase. This is Hypercritical, a podcast where two entitled people have opinions, talk about things, complain. I'm Spencer, and this is my co-host Shannon. What are we drinking?
Perfect. We are drinking something that is not normal for us. It is a whiskey sour.
A whiskey sour.
Cheers.
What's in a whiskey sour?
Tequila. Just kidding.
Whiskey made with tequila.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a sour is a type.
That was the joke.
Yeah. A sour is a type of drink. It's like a.
Do they make tequila sours?
Yeah, like you
really?
can. I think you can make it basically. Like you can do like a mezcal sour.
Gin sour.
Maybe.
What makes something a sour?
I think it's lemon juice and simple syrup, and then you add on to that. And it's I think it's typically those three, but then like plus garnishes and that kind of thing.
Is a margarita a sour?
No, I think because it's lime. Maybe it is. I wasn't prepared for I didn't do that much homework on this.
Got it.
But
is the egg white crucial? You haven't gotten to that part.
No, actually. I prefer it. I think it's good. I think it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like it's just raw egg white.
I feel that feels like a very old school thing to do. Yeah, it's like it's like Jello mold era stuff.
Yeah, true. And like why? I guess it's just it's like
a
meringue.
Texture thing.
It is a texture, and like the foam on top. So yeah, it's lemon juice, simple syrup, whiskey, and an egg white. And the trick is it's shaken because
it has citrus in it.
Nice. Well, fruit. So the trick is to shake it without the ice so that the egg white can emulsify with the other ingredients and foam up a little bit. And then you add ice and you shake it more.
The consistency on this one is better than our test one.
I don't tend to make cocktails that you shake.
Yeah.
So I'm just not used to it yet. And you'll read the instructions and it's like shake for 15 seconds. And I'm the type that I'm like, it's probably been 15 seconds.
It's probably fine.
It's probably been like 7 because I pulled a Ross Geller.
Yeah.
When he's like counting and he's like Mississippiing and he's like, you Mississippied? When he's getting the fake tan and he like counts for way too long.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it's good. It's one of those things though that really kind of grosses me out the more I think about it. The nights where I went out with George.
Yeah.
Either in Dallas, where we'd go to like Bowen House, or out in like New York City, and we would drink like 3 or 4 of them. And it's like, you're just drinking, that's a lot of eggs. Oh, I'm going to sound pretentious alert. In Peru, on the work trip that I did last year, everywhere we went, they were like handing us pisco sours.
Yeah.
So it's exactly the same thing, but with pisco.
What is pisco?
I think it's a kind of tequila. It's Spencer. I need to don't ask me about that. I don't know. The
one.
best part was
we'll put it up on screen. We probably won't because I'm too lazy to put graphics up.
You made me decide on graphics last night, and then you're like, never mind, we're not doing them. I decided export.
Done.
But we're drinking pisco sours left and right, and my friend is vegan.
Ooh.
And she actually wasn't drinking, and she was like, "This kind of feels like how can you not?" And she had like 1 or 2, and then we're kind of loose, and she goes, "Oh,
egg white."
Yeah,
that's why it's so delicious.
Worse things to
true.
Plus,
if you do end up having like 10 of these, at least you're getting a little bit of protein intake.
I knew you'd say that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a bad point.
Just add egg white to everything. If you added egg white and a little bit of protein powder to every cocktail.
Ew, bro! like on the edge.
just do the
like
rim.
A margarita.
Do the rim in protein powder.
Oh God, that's so gross.
It's like they should make a protein bar. Protein bar. That'd be great. I just branded it.
You just invented.
It's called Protein Bar, and it's like for bodybuilders and weightlifters, and it's like you get your cocktails, post-workout cocktails, but they're like shaken in a thing, and they have a dusting of protein powder on the rim and creatine.
Creatine is what I was going to say too, like sprinkled.
Yeah.
That is disgusting. I have an idea for a restaurant that if we ever opened with Patrick, my brother, and my nephew, which by the way, he told me at dinner the other night, he's like, that's what I want to do.
Open a restaurant?
He wants to like open and own a restaurant. You got some whiskey sour in your mustache. Anyway, I've got a great idea, but you know what? I'm not gonna describe it.
Okay. Nice.
It's IP that's not ready for the world.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep it to myself.
Okay. We'll look forward to episode 50 when we reveal Shannon's secret.
That'll be episode 50. We agreed on 51.
What did we say 50 was going to be?
No, 51.
Oh, why did we say?
I think it was on the movie episode. There was something. I can't remember. But we said 51. So 50, I'll talk about the restaurant. 51. What are we on? What is this one? 10?
11.
11. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right.
Well, thanks for joining us this week. We'll be back next week on episode 12. Yeah. I didn't prepare anything. What did you do this week?
I am in month 5 of running my own business. And like to call it a roller coaster is an understatement. I actually feel manic lately because it's like every time I check my email or like I get a text or something, it's like a high. Yeah. Like, this is great. This is going to work. This person's excited. All the ideas start flowing. It's all very positive. And then, 10 minutes later, 2 hours later, I get an email that's like a no, basically. Because I'm trying to onboard clients. So I have to like recruit a lot of people. Yeah. And so every time I get a no, I'm like, this is dumb. This is dumb. I'm just going to be a housewife. I don't have a job anymore. Hope this podcast takes off.
Yeah. This will replace my income for sure.
Yeah. But anyway, like it's nice to be out of like a corporate environment. Although I don't know that I would describe my previous jobs as like traditionally corporate.
Yeah. But. I don't know. I think that most people would tell you, one, and we don't have to go into the business of your business, but like
you always say that. You're like, please don't start talking about it.
Yeah, please. We spend all of our rest of our time. But it's not like you don't have investor money, so you started off fully on your own.
God, I regret that.
I don't.
I
imagine if we owed somebody money right now.
What
anyway,
if they
let's talk about this after. Let's talk about this afterwards. Ask how many ask any business owner at what month were you profitable, and nobody will say in the first 12 months. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough.
So,
except Adam Newman, he'd probably be just like raving about his ideas.
Didn't they make a movie about him being
a miniseries on Apple TV? I think We Crashed. I might watch it again. It's so good. It's amazing.
But yeah, so you've been manic.
Yeah, you're kind of still in that quote unquote corporate world.
Yeah, I mean more so than you are. I've got people to interact with and emails to respond to and meetings to take and everything like that. I
don't do any of that anymore. It's so weird. But yeah,
at least I work remotely and I work from home, so it's not too bad. But
so how's your week in corporate world?
Pretty good. I think it's I'm getting to the point where and again, I won't go into the details of what I'm dealing with work, but and not that it's anything bad. It's just, I'm getting to the point where I'm on autopilot a lot of the time, and not it's monotonous work and all this other stuff.
You're just one of those people that's good at that.
I have a lot of work to do. So I'll just I'll be very focused on the thing that I have to do. And then all the auxiliary stuff, people messaging me about, open tasks or, emails coming in, and I'm just checking the boxes and trying to get that out of my way. So as a result, I have to do some fishing training.
Yeah. It has nothing to do with where you work though. Why do you guys have an offsite or something? Why do you need
No, fishing. A fishing email. Did you think I was talking about fishing for fish? I have to go learn how to fish.
I thought you meant But you said fishing. In
Yeah.
fairness, it's not like you texted it to me and I
Yeah.
didn't understand. Fishing. Are you the idiot that clicks on the emails?
Well, no, it was one of those things, and again, it's not defensible. It's one of those things where, like, the second it happened, I was like, that was dumb.
Why do you have to get a fishing license?
Yeah, I need to go get a fishing license.
I'm just thinking about your boss immediately. I'm like, he does not strike me as
the
a
podcast
fishing.
and my new career as a fisherman are our only hope now. I was in like autopilot and like trying to get my inbox cleared and whatever.
Oh God, what did it say?
It was like, it was very believable. It was like from something Microsoft, and it was like, your Microsoft account just attempted to log in from Beijing, China. Click here to, review or whatever. And I was just like, okay.
I should review that.
Yeah. I'm not in Beijing.
Part.
I am not in Beijing. I'm glad I caught this.
Yeah. I want to make a Nigerian prince joke, but. And
then it went to a site that was like, you just fell for a phishing scam. And it was like a training thing.
Oh my God, that's even worse.
Yeah,
that's worse.
Like internally, our IT team sent out a fake phishing scam to check to see people. So now every day I'm getting an email that says please click here to complete your cybersecurity training, your mandatory cybersecurity training. But I'm like,
I'm not going to click it.
I'm not going to click on a link from the email. But then I also don't, at the same time, I'm like, maybe I should email the IT guy and ask him if this is real. But then I don't want to do that because he's like, yeah, jackass, this one's real.
But I want to know who else fell for it.
Yeah.
Who else clicked on it? You cannot be the only one.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. Fishing.
Yeah.
I'm literally picturing you going out in the rubber
very back,
the overalls, and standing in a river somewhere and getting a fishing license.
It's really pertinent to my line of work.
There literally could not be anything more opposite to what you do. Oh man. Well, another good moment this week. I got my nails done for the first time in a month, and I missed that.
That's good.
I'm back to Cruella de Vil nails.
Now you can start your live stream. That's a secret project. More details to come soon.
It's secret. We're going to talk about it. More importantly, we went to our favorite place, which is Uchiba. And what I love about them, one of 100 things.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about what we love about Uchiba about 10 times, but please do tell.
I wasn't going to.
I know.
All I was going to say is it was probably 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and we were like,
ooh, we should go.
Should we? And it's pretty hard to get in, but I sent an email and...
Well, because we're members.
That's what I'm saying, right.
Yeah.
So, and the membership model is brilliant, but it's just nice to be we want to be there in 3 hours. And they're like, okay, done.
They have an algorithm they already had a table before.
They're like, it's been 17 days. They're going to be here soon. But we got our table and I know we talked about this too, but I don't like the word waitress and waiter. I don't like server.
Yeah.
I don't know what the nice word is, but a very nice girl that works there knows us. Yeah. And she's the one who was like, there's something we don't have tonight, but you guys never order it anyway.
Yeah.
She took care of us and she's just amazing. The whole night was good. But at one point you went to the bathroom and you come back and you're giggling to yourself. And I was like, that's a weird, what, did someone text you something? What's happening? And you're like, I'll tell you later.
Yeah.
I'm like, why can't you tell me now? No one's sitting at the table with us. What is it? You're like, I'll tell you later.
Yeah.
And, we wrap up, we leave, we get in the car. And I swear the second you closed your door, you're like, okay.
No, well, actually, there's a step to that story that you're forgetting.
Oh.
And that was near the end of everything. They were on point. I just want to.
God, everything was perfect.
We rave about this restaurant on the majority of the episodes of the podcast that have come out. But that night, everything was perfect. Even better somehow.
We didn't get Guy Toro.
Yeah.
That was the perfect night to do it because it would have been.
But it was we were kind of wrapping up. And I went to the restroom. I came back, and then like literally 5 to 10 minutes later, we were leaving. And I was like, I'm just going to run to the restroom really quick. And you were like, didn't you just go?
And that's weird for you. Like,
Yeah.
I'll go 2 or 3 times, especially if we're having, like, if I'll just drink a lot of water and everything. And you are like, no, I'm fine.
Yeah. And so, yeah, we got to the car, and I was just like, well, you were asking me, you were like, what happened? Like, what was going on? And I was just like, well, I didn't go the first time.
And like, at that point, I'm like, what could possibly be the reason?
And like, and I don't know if this is, I assume other people have this problem. And it's not that I'm like a nervous peer, or anything like that, but it's like, if there's something weird going on, I like, it takes me out of the frame, and like, you can like feel like you have to go, but like suddenly you're just like, I just can't. Or like if somebody is, and like, this is where like the pee anxiety comes in. And like, if somebody, and this is something I know that you said, and you'll probably get to this in a second, but like girls make friends in the bathroom and stuff.
Oh, especially when drinking's involved.
Yeah. But like most of the time when guys go to the bathroom, it's like no eye contact. You don't speak to me. I don't speak to you unless like it's crucial and like something bad is going to happen. Like there's no communication verbally or non-verbally.
Making me like terrified of men's restrooms.
Verbally or non-verbally.
Which already really weirded me out. Just this whole, you guys are all just in there just peeing.
You make it sound like it's just like an open room. There's like just we go in there. There's a drain on the floor.
But it's not that far off. Like urinals are just like, how deep are they? Well, and it's just a row of them, like and you guys just
drains. I mean,
it makes
one. I will say urinals, I've heard, are disgusting.
You've heard? You haven't?
I've witnessed it too, but
known.
like apparently that's just like the technology. It doesn't actually like the way a toilet works. There's like the S trap, and like something with urinals, like they're too small to have that. So it's just like, it doesn't work with like filtering stuff. Anyway, there's dividers and there's also the unspoken code of like your eyes are front, you're not turning and talking or looking at anybody. Sometimes there's a divider unless it's like a, airport bathroom or something like that. So
what was this one like?
I mean, this one is fairly private in that sense. Like literally you walk in, it's a small bathroom. So it's like, there's the sink and then there's a divider, like a little half wall. The urinal is there. And then there's like 2 stalls, right?
I'm going to put a pin in that comment, but keep going.
Yeah. And I will say that I've heard numerous times.
You've heard tale?
I've heard tale. I've heard numerous times that men's bathrooms in general are significantly cleaner than
I've heard this too.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about why.
We don't have to go into that. But like what I was saying earlier is like cat distraction. Sorry, we were just both like so what I was saying earlier is that like there's this situation in which like when somebody breaks the code or like it's always like an older guy or like it's like a generational, it's like peeing for millennials and younger is like, getting a phone call. Yeah. Where you're just like,
don't
like
engage. D&E.
No, we can talk when we get out if you really want to talk, but like there's no contact in this room.
It's a D&E situation.
Yeah. And like somebody starts talking to you and then you're like, you're distracted and and then it's like in my mind at least, and you can drop a comment if this happens to you as well. But like, then I like can't pee, right? Cause like I'm out of the situation I want to be in. And I get like nervous. And then I'm like, well, this person's talking to me. And so they're like engaged with me and they can hear that I'm not peeing.
I was just going to say like, you can't fake it.
So I can't, then it's like either like, well, then you're like, well, I have to pee now. And then you're like putting all this pressure on it. And then you're like, what am I going to do? Just like, all done. And then they're going to be like,
and they're probably at the table next to us. Yeah. And they come back and they're like looking at you as they sit down.
Or like they don't see you and they're like at the table and they're sitting behind you and they're like, this guy in there didn't pee. I heard it. He went in there, he got to the stall.
Okay, so
So anyway, in this particular scenario, this wasn't a conversational one. It was just like I walked in, and again, this is a small restroom. Mm-hmm. So like I walked in and I was immediately thrown off because like I'll make a little graphic and I'll put it up on the screen of the layout of this restroom. But like I walk in, and again, like you walk in the door, sinks immediately on your right, urinal, and then there's like a stall.
Okay.
Right immediately after that.
Okay.
And like there's a guy like standing in the doorway to the stall, like with his arm up on it, and he just looks at me, he's like, and I'm like,
that feels very like invitational.
I'm like, what the?
Is it one of those like handicap stalls? It's
No.
like what? It's just a stall?
It's just a regular stall.
Okay.
And like I was just like, okay, and like, you know, went to the urinal.
So he said something, or he just
No, he just smiled at me.
Okay.
And so, you know, I go and I like get to the urinal and I start to pretend like I'm about to pee. And then somebody comes in behind me, and the first guy didn't say anything to me, so I don't know his voice or anything. And it's like, I just hear two guys behind me, and one of them's like, "Oh no, you go ahead, man." And the guy's like, "Oh, are you sure?" And then the first guy is like, "Oh yeah, no, do whatever you need to do, man." And then I was like, well, I can't do anything now because I have no idea, like, what the.
It's getting very social in
I'm
here
assuming
for my
that
taste.
like was the first guy just hanging out, and then the other guy came in and was like, oh, there's somebody waiting, and he was like, oh no, you go ahead. I'm just standing here, like hanging out. Like,
so was there someone in the stall?
I don't know. But I mean, if there was somebody in the stall, why would he say you go ahead? So I'm just like,
into the stall, he was.
Yeah, standing, and maybe that's what he was saying is he's like, oh, you go ahead to the next stall.
He must have.
And like we're doing whatever we need to do.
We're
here.
having a conversation. Was there an open urinal?
No, there's only one urinal.
But when you walked in, he was
Yeah,
already in the
yep,
doorway.
yep,
So
it was open. So I don't know. And so anyway, I had to abandon ship. I was just like, you know what? This is too weird. I'm just going to get out of here.
I think it was a weird like medical thing.
Maybe. I don't know. And like, yeah, benefit of the doubt. Maybe like.
I'm not good at that.
Guy need like.
Trying really hard.
So yeah, I just, washed my hands, went back to the table. And then by the time we were wrapping up, I was able to smoothly go.
All right. So women's bathroom culture.
Yeah.
On a normal, like regular day-to-day basis, pretty much the same. Like no need to speak. It's not super social. If it's at a bar or a restaurant, especially a bar, let me just stick to that. Girls can be pretty catty, especially when you're like in your 20s and you're a little more just like inherently bitchy, and you assume girls that you're not there with are not the enemy, but you're just like, I don't know, it's weird.
Bitch.
But then, and like they're not even like, they're not doing anything. But then if you've been drinking, you would not believe what happens in there. Like all the jokes are true. They're all real. But
so like lots of like
just like it starts with a compliment, right? Like, oh my God, your outfit, your shoes, and then it just like, oh my God, it's so sweet. And there's like touching and like it's just very immediately just, relax.
Okay.
But that being said, women's bathrooms are all super private. It's nothing but stalls, right? So like, and increasingly they have the like rubber strip.
Oh wow!
Which is it's so weird without it, because like you have that awful moment where
there's
you're
always
like,
you're in an airport bathroom and some guy walks by and you make eye contact through the slit.
I hate airport bathrooms, and like I have to try a million times, but like every single time I'm in one, I'm like, I hate every second of this. I hate it. But I think it's weird. Like if I owned a restaurant, I would have a moment in the like, let's just say it was a new build. Yeah. I would have a moment in the like architectural process. Be like, why do we have stalls in the men's bathroom? Why isn't it just urinals?
Because you can only.
I don't want any excuses.
You can only use the urinal for one thing.
But I just think it's funny that like, I don't know, women maybe it's like if it's a bar, the women's bathroom has no need for stalls because we're all social and talking and hanging out anyway.
Just like open, just like a bunch of toilets in a ring.
It's not that different from a row of urinals, which I still find to be so weird. And like, don't you have a moment where like, if you walk into the men's bathroom and it's not like crowded with people and you see a guy go to the stall instead of to the urinal, I'm always just like curious about stuff, interactions like that, especially if their friend is like hanging out, leaning over.
What do you mean interactions like you? I'm like, what you doing in there, buddy?
While he's going that way instead of the urinal. All right, this conversation has gone way too far.
No, but I think like, you know, I feel like, I don't know, it's probably not a law. Maybe. But
it probably is, actually.
I imagine that point. Like you have to have the proper facilities.
Yeah.
In case somebody, well, I will say that like I will avoid, I'll just say it, I'll avoid pooping. I'll avoid it especially at a restaurant.
Yeah.
Like out in public in general at all costs.
You just reminded me of something.
But at the same time, I think it's a requirement. And then like you have to think about like most restaurants have a bathroom, so it's like that's where the employees have to go too.
Yeah, fair.
So like it has to be there.
I'm gonna knock myself down a peg or two because I'm high and mighty right now, and I'm just gonna go there, because I'm giving people shit for you know doing that at a restaurant. I'm like, really, you can't wait to get home?
Yeah.
I was once.
You've got like a medical, like you've got like, you know. You're lactose intolerant or like
right, exactly.
You've got colitis
like,
or something like that.
Right, exactly. That's why I said benefit of the doubt. Like I'm not very good at that. So I was on a work. Like I don't know why he's very fluffy. Something must have happened. I was on a work trip, and it wasn't the kind where we're just like at the hotel the whole time. This was like out in the world, and I'm not going to say where. And
domestic or international?
International. Hi, buddy.
Okay. So there's also assume like a language barrier in the situation too.
Yes, there was a language barrier situation, and I when I'm on
come over here at least, away from the equipment.
He's so cute. When I'm on work trips, I don't put myself in the position of like, oh, I'm working, and when it's after hours, I'm off the clock. Like I am committed the whole time. Like I am making sure everyone's having a good time, whatever. So if a couple people want to go out and you're somewhere that you've never been, you're like, I'm going. Like I was so tired.
I mean, there are so many times where you're like, I'm either with you and I go back to the hotel.
Oh God,
like, it's 10 p.m. I'm not staying any later. Or like, you know, you're texting me that you just got back to the hotel and I'm like, isn't it 3 a.m. for you? Like, what the fuck is going on?
I'm like, I'm just, you know, but, you know, I will say, side note, that I had a client very recently say that they specifically appreciate the fact that I, like, stay with them and just hang out, make sure everyone's whatever. Anyway, language barrier, it was, like, late. I was so tired. And you know what it's like when you're traveling? You're just, like, dehydrated and, like, you're eating at weird times.
Well, especially, and... How far are we going to go into
what
this conversation?
What is happening with this
How
episode?
far are we going to go in this conversation? I was just going to say, like, when I travel internationally, and I feel like I've gotten better about this.
There's a joke on the internet. Everyone agrees. I know what you're going to say.
But, like, you're not normal until you've gone to the bathroom in the new country.
Right, and that can take, like, 3 days.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just, like, you know, you're eating plain food and, like,
you're dehydrated.
Your diet's off, you're dehydrated. Yeah. You know, your whole schedule's off, your body's confused, internal clock is backwards. And so it's just like, you can't go. And then finally, anyway.
Exactly. But that's basically a good summary of how I was feeling. Just, I mean, what is the point? This is why, like, I watching our previous episodes back, I'm like, God, Shannon, get to the point, like, finish the story. But like, I am trying. And now I feel like it's not going to be funny. We were out. It was late. Yeah. I did not feel good. And I was like contemplating. I was like, we're kind of far from the hotel. Like, I do not feel good suddenly. Yeah. Like, I need to go.
You're like, I'm not going to make it back to the hotel.
Like, I need to leave. Yeah. And like the two people I was with were having a great time. They were so excited. It was really loud. And I'm pretty sure there was some kind of like, not strobe light, but it was definitely, I don't know, just a big combination. And they're like, yeah, is you having fun? You good? I'm like, don't touch me.
Yeah, don't touch me. It might cause a chain reaction that we'll all regret. Like,
you want a beer? And I'm like, sure. Yep. And in my head, I'm like, dear God, not even a little bit. Like, don't even like look at me. And then like, how about pizza? We should get pizza and beer. I was like, oh my God, I am going to die. Yeah. And I definitely think there was a moment where one of them looked at me and was kind of like like, are you okay? And
it's like when I looked at you this weekend, this past. We don't have to go into. You were like, we're at my mom's house. At my mom's house, and like there was just background stuff going on, and we were sitting in my mom's living room, and like you were just totally in a different world. And I look over, and like you're just zoned out, but you've got this face like, and I'm like, are you okay?
I literally was like,
yeah.
You go, you okay? I was like, oh God, thank God you saw me and snapped me out of it. But yeah, it was pretty much.
It was basically that. You're sitting in this bar, just like.
No, I was probably like this, more like.
Yeah.
Like, what do I do? Yeah. I was like working on a game plan.
You had the like, what's the movie? Zach Galifianakis or whatever.
Yeah. I'm doing all the like math.
The Hangover. Yeah, all the math equations are going through your head. Like.
Meanwhile, they're like, "You want a beer?" Yeah. Oh my God! And then they bring the beer, Spencer.
And it's like a giant.
No, it was like a boot. It was like a joke, and I was like, and so we're far from the hotel, and like I'm not gonna walk back by myself. It's like really late. All the things, and I'm like, I don't even know where the bathroom is, and it's one of those places where it was like, like a maze. It was like a maze of a bar. I'm like, I don't even know where it is. And I'm like, all right, I almost gave myself away. You know, when you go to a foreign country, like you learn a few things. Of course, like where's the bathroom?
It's like, what language were you speaking?
So anyway, all said and done, and like, thank God, because I like get back to the table and I was like, where's that beer?
Yeah. Give me some pizza. I will say though that like there is an exception to, and like for me, again, like I will avoid going to, because especially like, I don't know, when you're out and you're traveling, one, you land in, like I remember getting to London at one point. It's like the first time you and I went to London, and like I was like that the entire, like for 2 days, and I'm just like uncomfortable, and you can't like.
That's the opposite problem though.
Yeah. Oh, you were, yeah. Okay. Yes.
This was like the jokes where like people are in their car and it's like me, my iced coffee, and like how far they are from home. And it's like, it was that situation. You're talking about when you get there and your body is like, I don't know what day it is, what time it is.
But then I was going to say like, suddenly your body will be like, all right, it's time. You know?
You're like, I'm on the London Eye. Yeah. It's not a good time.
And
God, I cannot believe we're talking about this.
Why are we talking about this?
I don't know.
But you know, and then you have to go to like a coffee shop, and that's like the worst place. Like you're in a coffee shop. We have a lot of stories about this, don't we?
Shut up.
You should tell that one.
I actually no.
And then it's like a tiny shared, like not like a men's restroom, women's restroom. It's like one toilet in a closet,
4 feet from the cafeteria, the espresso machine.
And your husband's like, I'll have a tea. And then the guy's like, sure.
Then we left.
If you just want to use
bye,
the bathroom,
and they go bye.
And I just like left the full tea because like we had already had 3 coffees.
Yeah, we did not
day.
need any more.
But you know, the one.
Wait, that's my story. I know. Tell your story.
I was gonna say, like I'll avoid it, but like the exception is like for whatever reason, and like I think it's just because like my body is like. When we were first traveling for the first time, everywhere we were going, it was like, well, I was like just out of grad school or just starting grad school. And so like everywhere we go, like I had a list of like museums and galleries and stuff that I wanted to go to.
Yep.
And so like my body just like got trained to be like, oh, we've arrived at an art museum. It's time to go.
I think we both commented on like the Whitney in New York. We're like, oh yeah.
And so like, you know, I had like a hierarchy of major museum bathrooms.
So awful.
And the Whitney was like the Whitney, like you're especially, I feel like there's a bathroom somewhere in the Whitney that's like on the 8th floor or something like that. And there's like a window overlooking the city. And you're just like, I'm very few people have experienced this, I feel like.
I'm just thinking like, not that like luckily this is an early episode and like maybe someday if we have like an audience, you know, we will not talk about things like this.
Brought to you by Squatty Potty.
No, I have a different one actually. Will you just come here? Come here and settle. Okay, no, he doesn't want to. God. Oh, God.
He's like, you guys are going off script. This is not what the production team talked about.
He's like twitchy and like going to jump somewhere, maybe on the laptop.
It's coming back.
Hi, buddy. So you and I, we've been married for 12 years. We can talk about anything, obviously. Yeah. And then with my brother, with David, you guys laugh about this stuff all the time. And then one friend from work, we've had conversations with about anything and everything. And the reason I say that is I just thought of the trip we took for work to London. And prior to this, I had been to a couple of hotels that only had Toto toilets.
Oh, yeah.
And these things are incredible. Like when you haven't experienced it.
Not friend from work, but a business colleague.
A business colleague, who is a friend now. But anyway.
They didn't work at the same place.
Right. But I remember I'm talking to you about it, and me and this other person, I don't think he cares, Jason. Jason and I are talking about it, and you're like, whatever, like, I don't, like, cool.
I'm like, I don't know.
And I'm like, I want one someday. That's a little
weird to me.
Like, I want to buy one someday, and you're like, Sharon, there's like $4,000. And I'm like,
this is an important part of the story, but a Toto toilet is a bidet.
It's a bidet. It's got a warmed seat. Yeah. There's like a remote for all the different settings. You can like change the angle of the little nozzle. Yeah. They're amazing. And if you haven't used one, you kind of just don't get it. Oh, man.
What is the deal with him?
And so then when you and I went to London, they were like all over this hotel, like everywhere.
No.
And in the lounge.
We were going to London, and the American lounge we got to, our flight was really late, like 11 p.m.
Even later, I think. Yeah.
And so like we got to the like American International Lounge, and like there was nobody there.
It was pretty empty.
It was fairly empty. There weren't very many people there, and like, we were there maybe an hour early because it was an international flight and everything, and we knew that we could go to the lounge. And I went to the bathroom, and they had Toto toilets.
You came back with this like huge smile on your face.
I just lost my virginity.
I texted Jason right away, and I was like, "What really happened?"
And then every place we went in London had a Toto. I was like, "This is you set this up,
except
right?"
that coffee shop.
Yeah, except that coffee shop.
That's for sure. Yeah. But no, I feel like I did set it up. But there was a time where I was looking for a picture.
Speaking of,
I mean, luckily it's not on camera.
Yeah. Just outside of frame.
I was looking for a picture, and I'm like, it's not in my text with Jason. It's not in my text with Jason and his girlfriend. It's not in my text with you, me, Jason, and Amanda. And as I'm looking for this picture, there's a picture of a toilet. And I'm like, what is this? Like, what the hell? And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's when we got to London. Yeah. And you sent a picture of the Toto. But, like, the lid's up. And I'm like, what is this? But it was simply to, like, revel in.
I will say, too, the first time I used it, in the American lounge, everybody remembers their first time in the American lounge at DFW Airport. I think in the moment I was like, thank God there's nobody here, because like I literally laughed, like giggled, like as it happened. I was like, oh.
You like sit down, you're like, oh, this is nice. Especially like in the winter when it's cold and like you get up in the middle of the night and it's like a heated tile like floor.
Oh yes.
A friend of mine has that. She lives in Vermont where the winters obviously get extremely cold, and it is like one of those things you just want to save up all your money and spend it on a toilet. Please God, change the subject. Like it's probably been like 40 minutes.
Yeah, we're at 45, so we probably started talking about
toilets
at least 10 minutes in. So.
Okay, well,
I told you I don't have any other topics, so you have to do the subject change.
Shit.
I mean, that's what we've been talking about.
I don't have anything either.
It's going to be our shortest episode.
Maybe.
We've got to come up with something.
Okay.
I think that we can find something to talk about.
Okay. All right, I have one.
Okay.
Because I wanted to ask you this recently.
Okay.
So we, where were we? Oh, it was the dinner we had with my family recently for your birthday, Jack's birthday, our anniversary, all that. And we had fries. And I was like realizing that I still do something from when I was a kid. And it's the weirdest like thing, not the weirdest, but it makes no sense. So I eat fries in twos. Yeah. And I remember when I was little, I'm the youngest of 4. So when I was little, anything my siblings told me was like gospel. Like, and Patrick especially would mess with me a lot. Like he told me I was adopted. And I totally believed it, which is hilarious. Like if you look at pictures of my mom, it's like, and I look just like my sister and I look a lot alike, and it's just dumb. But anyway, so Patrick was just like mischievous with those things. And he told me once, fries taste better if you eat them 2 at a time. And like to this day, probably. You still eat 2 at a time. What? You still eat 2 at a time. 28 years later or something, I still do that. Yeah. And the other thing is when I'm adjusting the volume on something, I can't stop on an odd number. I have to go up in 2s, and I have to, but 5s are okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. That's like the even numbers. Right, the even numbers. But like now, like I remember like recently I like did it and I thought I hit it again and it stopped on 13. I was like, ah! I'll stop when I feel good. You know, like, and like I know that you sometimes get mad, like stop on 19 or something like that. One more. Like, what are you doing? You can't stop on 19. I'm like, why not? So I have a touch of OCD, like no question. Yeah. With fries, I can eat a single fry. It doesn't have to be fries. What's your OCD thing? No, I want to respond to the fry thing. I can eat a singular fry, but it just feels like, and you know, I like eat really fast. Here it comes doing a lap. I eat really fast. And so like eating one fry, it's like, you know, like you're like, so like generally I will shove as many fries into my mouth as I can. And I don't think this does not apply to waffle fries, by the way. No, right. Because that's different. So I'll just shove as many fries. Like I'll do a cluster of 9 of them if I can, you know? Okay. And you actually were laughing at me today because I was shoving like 7 tortilla chips into my mouth at once. But like ask me something serious. You said something. I look up and you go. Not only shoving too many tortilla chips, but like they were fanned out. So like I was like hitting either side and just trying to shove them in there. You were like the guy from the like British baking show with the whisk, and he very. That's what it reminded me of. He very seriously. Was that serious or was that like a gag thing? I'm pretty sure it was serious. He thought it was normal to just like whole whisk and then he just goes, that's really good. And you're like, are you kidding me? But that's what it reminded me of. What am I OCD about? The door, locking doors. Ooh, what do you do? Are you joking? Is this like when, I think I may have already said Imagine that we go somewhere and we get out of the car. Oh, God. Well, are you talking about when we go somewhere and you're like, do I lock the back door? That too. That drives me crazy because I'm like, but now I have to go look. We have to go all the way home. Locking doors in general, like I'll like, because I get distracted, you know, like I'll get lost in my thoughts. Cannot do 2 things at once. If you're talking, whatever else you're doing, I'm just like, stop it. What do you, like you're like about to run a red light or stop at a green light or... And if I'm like, you know, I'm in a hurry to get somewhere or like I was just dealing with something work and it's like on my mind, like I'll, again, like what we were talking about earlier with like emails and shit, I'll just go in autopilot. Like my brain, like to the point where like there have been times where I'll have been driving or something and I'll be like, no idea. I don't even visually remember driving. Like I remember visualizing what was in my head, you know? Yeah. But like my body and everything goes into full autopilot. So like I'll leave, lock the door, close it behind me, get in the car, drive away, and then I'll be like, I don't remember if I locked the door or not, so now I have to go back. Which is a big deal because our house, the back door, it will open. It locks if it's not locked. It doesn't really latch. And it's not just like I can fix that. I want to defend my manhood really quick. I can fix that, but our house is also really old. And so like every 3 weeks it's shifted in a different direction. True. So like I can fix it, but I just don't want to be constantly adjusting the door.
Yeah. So yeah, if I didn't lock the door, then it's like, well, shit, the door could be open. And
which is not an option.
Yeah.
We
And
have
then
3 cats.
what's more OCD, I think, because that's more of like I go into autopilot. There's probably some other mental illness that I have related to that.
Oh my God.
But like what's more OCD is like the car door. And like, because like we'll get out of the car with a clicker.
Oh God.
And I'll
yes.
like lock the car.
It's beeping like constantly.
It beeps, and then I lock it, and then I'll go back and like check the handle. Like, or
oh
like,
my God.
or like,
when you drove the Mazda,
yeah,
did I put the brake on? And I'm like, yes.
yeah.
Is the car rolling away? And you're like, well, no, I'll just go look.
Yeah.
And you used to drive me insane with that. Like I would leave you. I'd be like,
Yeah.
I'll see you inside. I'm not doing this with you. That was bad. The brake thing was bad.
I still do that with our car. Like,
okay, wait.
I'll be like, I gotta go. I think I left something in the car.
It wasn't the Mazda, because the Mazda was a standard, and it
Yeah.
made sense that you would worry. This was like an audit, like the Jetta.
Yeah.
Like our first like collaboration on a car.
Yeah, and you have to put it in park to stop the car.
It's an automatic.
Yeah.
Like the brake is like a pointless thing, even though like I'm obsessive about doing it too. But
Well,
like
technically, I think that you could like roll the car. Like somebody could roll the car out of park. You know.
oh.
Like if somebody came and like pushed the car or rocked it or whatever, you
Right.
could get it moving. But
Interesting.
but yeah, that's something I'm OCD about is like the parking brake and the car door.
Yeah.
I'll like go back
Yeah.
and check it. And like I feel like there's been times where I've gone back twice.
Oh, God.
Like go back, check the door, but then I also like got distracted in my head while I was doing that. And I'm like, wait, did I do that or not? I can't remember.
It's like shampoo. He
Here it
is
comes.
just in. Oh, it's because I'm in his seat.
Yeah. Well, you're always in the seat,
But he wants it back. It's like when you're showering and you're having like intense shower thoughts
Yeah.
where like lots of good ideas come up, or you're like thinking about an argument that you should have won and all
Yeah.
these things. And
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Did I wash my hair?
Or you're thinking about an argument that has no grounds in reality, but could hypothetically happen in your head.
Yeah.
And the whole thing's playing out. Yeah.
Yep. Then you shampoo twice, or you
Yeah.
skip it completely because you're like, no, I did it.
Or you get to, like I've body washed my hair before.
You're like, what? It's foaming up.
Yeah. I don't know what else am I OCD
You're
about something else?
particular about stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know. Which is weird though, because you're also not at all. And you're a total slob sometimes. Like we both are like this, I think, where like we're very particular about certain things. Like, no, it's supposed to be straight in this order, and like you do it like this, and then you know you walk into the kitchen and it's a disaster, and I'm like, that pan is from 7 days ago, and it's still on the stove.
Well, I think we both deflect it to each other. I'm like, well, that's Shannon's pan, and you're like, that's definitely your pan.
Oh my God,
and
I
I'm
got
like,
back
no, I don't
in
think so.
town from being gone for 2 days, and there were
yours.
3 cast irons.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Spencer, you need to clean those. And you were like, ugh, those are yours. I was like, all 3 of them are from you making steak.
Pretty sure they were yours.
Your cheap sous vide steak. And you
Cheap? They're not cheap.
I thought you got cheap steaks.
I mean, they're not cheap. They're not like fillets.
I honestly didn't want to make it sound like you were eating steak all the time. It just sounds a little excessive and pretentious, but whatever.
Well, I get a roast, so it is cheaper by the pound.
There you go.
And then I just cut it into my own segments in the sous vide.
Sous vides were the part that's
that's the pretentious part, really. Is that I sous vide my own steaks at home, and but yeah, or it's like and like all the stuff that I do that's just chewing on electrical cords. That's the other thing that I do that I want to bring up is chew on electrical. No, like there's stuff like I end up with 9 water glasses, and this is like the combination of being a slob and it seems OCD or something, but like it's actually because I know that if I've lost direct line of sight with a water glass, I can assume that a cat has had a drink from it.
Oh, true.
So
that's fair.
I forget to bring it down, and then it end up with like a stack of 7.
And then you come
9.
down with those,
and,
and one of them breaks.
They only break when you stack them. You leave them stacked in the sink.
I feel like, okay, fine, whatever, sure.
But other OCD things that I do.
I think everything else is just a particular, it needs to be done right, and you're not doing it right kind of thing. And then other stuff, you're like, my brain doesn't have that calculation done, so I don't care. And just, whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's stuff that I actually care
Like,
about and stuff that
you
I'm just like,
are physically incapable of putting your socks in the hamper.
yeah.
You put them on the floor right next to
Well,
it.
because I might reuse them.
Then put them back.
Well, they're semi-worn.
This is a ridiculous conversation.
Do other people do that?
Why do you put, okay, if that's the case though, why would you put them next to the hamper?
Because that's where I
That's
get
where dirty
dressed.
clothes go. Why? No, you don't.
But I want to know, like, do other people do this? Like, if I put on a pair of socks in the morning and I wear them all day, those are dirty, right? But if like, I had to run a quick errand or like something like that, not even something physical, like just something I had to put shoes on for some reason for a brief period of time. I put on socks, I put my shoes on and go, like, we run an errand or whatever and come back. They're hardly worn. That's like wasting a wash. You know what I mean? I'm going to set them aside to wear again.
Do you want to know what I do? What do you care about wasting a wash? You don't do laundry?
Yeah, but I mean.
Do you want to know what I do?
What?
I put the socks in my shoes.
Oh, in the shoe. That's smart.
You should do that. That's how I know.
That's really smart. Same thing with underwear. Like if it was just a light wear. No, just kidding.
I just put them in the back pocket of my jeans. It's fine.
And then you forget and they're just hanging out. I think I had that happen to me one time, like at work or something, at like Bed Bath and Beyond or something, or like not out of my back pocket.
They were like in the leg.
Yeah, it was like in the leg, and you're like, what the fuck is this? And you like pull out a full pair of boxers, and you're like, ah!
I think I had that happen to me after, like when I was a kid growing up in Sunday school. Like we dressed up for Sunday school. It was like a whole thing, and I'm pretty sure it was like pantyhose, which like are staticky, and when like those really shouldn't have gone in the laundry, but anyway, they like cling and they'll be on like the inside of something, and then you're out, and it's kind of like this whole like.
Discussing slob habits and OCD habits that we have. I mean, I think an extension of like the getting distracted, my worst and the one that affects me the most, I think, is losing count of my sets while I'm working out.
Oh my God. And you didn't believe me recently. You didn't believe me recently. We were at the gym, and like, I don't know. I just have like an attitude with being at the gym lately. I need to get over it. But like, I can work out and do my primary sets and like a couple of accessories at least, and I'm like done. Yeah. And you are lifting much heavier weight, so you need a lot more time. Yeah. So I tend to be like, what set are you on? And recently we were there, and you walked away for a second, and I like peeked at I was like, okay, he's done 3. Okay, good. That means if he's doing 5, then we're almost, he's almost done. And then at one point you were like, oh, I have 1 more. I was like, yeah, I have 2 more. I was like, no, you only have 1 more. Right. And you like did not believe me that you had actually done all the sets. But yeah, you're very bad about that. I constantly forget. Like I'll get to, and then I end up like, well, I've either done 4 sets or 5 sets. That means I have to do 5 or 6. Because if my goal is 5, I'd rather do an extra set than not have done enough. Yeah. But that's the one that probably affects me the most, is just like forgetting. Because like I forget to mark it down, and then I'm like, well, shit, did I forget to mark it down, or did I mark it down and I forgot marking it down? Hello? He's like up close. And then I'm just like trying to like, I'm like trying to retrace my steps and be like, well, when I farted, that was set 3. No. It's usually set 2. No. They're usually all done by set 2. You laugh so hard when I say that. I had to rack it and restart. Thank God we have a gym that we don't share with anybody else. It's just like, you're such a child. So am I. I'm just like, as bad. I go to squat and like relatively heavy squats, and like, I'm all geared up. Like I've got my like knee sleeves, my belt, my like chalked up mouth guard in, like I've got the works, and like I'm like, also like squatting like 400 pounds or something like that. And so I'm just like, you like get hyped, and you're like in the moment, and you've got to like get yourself amped up, and like doing a set of 5 or something. I go down on my like second rep, and it was just like a little like
And I tried tried so hard to recover.
And I think I probably in the corner like.
Eventually, I was just like, "Fuck it, I have to rack this and redo it."
Okay, so one time we were working out, and
you thought we were moving on from pooping and farting.
Okay, so I have to be careful about this because I don't want to actually like make something happen. But it was quiet, and we were like, "Oh yeah, like we should put some music on."
Yeah.
So we gave the prompt for the Apple product.
Said, hey, whatever.
And no, it was you from like on the other end, and you were joking around. You go play hardcore rock.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing like yoga in the corner, and you're on the far end about to like overhead press or something, and you do that.
I said like play hardcore rock music,
and then suddenly she goes, "Okay, here are classic fart sounds from the fart soundtrack," or something ridiculous. We were like, "What even is that?"
It was okay. Now playing funny fart sounds by by
David Staten.
Yeah. By fart sounds.
We started laughing so hard.
And it literally was just a soundtrack of different
like
noises.
Cartoonish.
Yeah.
And because we were laughing so hard, we couldn't say like
we
stop.
Couldn't. You couldn't ask it to stop because we were laughing so hard, and it just wouldn't stop. And
oh
we
my
were
God,
just like,
it was
thank God, like I wasn't
hysterical.
lifting at the time.
Yeah.
I would have had to like bail
God.
on a squat.
I have a video of it.
You do?
I do, because it was so hysterical, and I caught like some of the sounds, and I panned over, and you are like red in the face, bent over. It was so funny because we couldn't stop it. Oh my God.
You're gonna have to show me that. Maybe we'll cut it into the video.
What I was gonna say was one of like the few times I've seen you laugh this hard in recent memory was something on Instagram, which of course, but like it was adding fart noises to workout videos. And you were like slapping your knee, you're laughing so hard. I just love that, like, no matter your like age,
anybody who doesn't think farts are funny is lying to themselves.
They're lying to you.
They are repressed, and they think that they're above something, but in reality it's like a primal.
Yeah.
And I think it just ties back to like you have to like your brain processes that as like endorphin release, because like it's like the relief and everything.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, this is no matter what, it's hilarious.
Yeah. So this is gonna sound random for a second, but you know the company Vice?
Yeah.
They filed for bankruptcy.
Oh yeah.
Like last week.
Yeah.
And at one point they had like a $5 billion valuation or something like that. So they announced, and they said on Instagram, among other platforms, like, news platform Vice files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and everyone in the comments was like, "Are you reporting on yourselves as if that it's like two different things?" It's so ridiculous. And the next post, maybe like one or two later, literally like headline, and remember, news outlet was like, "Why is there still so much shame around pooping?" And everyone's like, "Why are you even posting?
Yeah.
Like, aren't you bankrupt? Like, aren't you done?" But I guess you can file for bankruptcy and not be out of business. But like, we're like, maybe this is why. Like, I wonder.
What is the joke? News. I can't remember the name of it.
Jerry? No, that's real.
It's like the onion.
Oh, the onion.
The onion.
Yeah.
I was
the
like
onion
the
something.
Green onion. The green.
The garlic.
The
Not.
the garlic knot. The most comical thing in the world is when like there was a period of time a couple years ago when
it was when Trump was president.
When Trump was president, all of a sudden everybody was like, for some reason why is it that the Onion article headlines are the most sensible ones that are out on the internet right now?
Yep.
Like they're the only ones that make sense. But I didn't realize Vice had gone the way of like BuzzFeed News. It was just like totally not news.
Yeah.
Like,
well, the weird thing is that like occasionally it is the same headlines as others, and then they do that, and you're like, okay, the internet's weird.
Yeah, the internet is weird.
God,
like,
I hate myself when I'm scrolling. You like close Instagram, and you're like, I've been scrolling for a while.
Yeah.
I need to stop. I need to snap out of it. You're like, I'll check my email like an adult. You like move over, check your email, and then you open Instagram. I'm like, oh my God, like I just did this.
You open your email app and you look at like the first 3 things for half a second and you're like, all right, done, back to Instagram. The worst, speaking of the culprit, and like, he's probably going to be upset at us for bringing this up, but your brother is just like, he'll be like totally like comatose mode, like on the couch, like 100%. At a family function.
It's like he's on drugs. Like
Yeah.
you look over and he's like kind of giggling to himself. And like he'll send it to us in one of our like chats on Instagram, and I look over and I'm like, he doesn't even look happy.
Yeah.
He's laughing in Instagram, but he's not like. Yeah. But then like I have those nights where I'm like, I want to. This is all I want to do, and I'm on a streak. And then you check your phone and you're like, Shannon.
Oh, yeah. You're like the typical meme where like we'll be upstairs, like I'm at my computer playing video games or something, and you are like watching a movie, and then it's 10 o'clock and you're like, I'm gonna go to bed. And I'm like, okay, I'll be down a little bit. I'm just going to finish up. And
I'm really tired.
You're like, I just can't stay up another second. I'm going to bed. And then like, it'll be 11:30, an hour and a half later, and I'll check my phone and there's like 72 notifications. And I walk down and you're just in the bedroom, like tucked into the covers, like.
Oh my God, there was something. It happens all the time, but there was that exact scenario, and you walked in and I was like crying, laughing. It was so funny. I almost had it, which one it was. But man, in those moments.
It's probably a cat doing something stupid.
I don't think this one was. No, it was the guy talking about days. Oh my God. This guy is such a joke. He's like,
oh yeah,
day 1 for me, 6 a.m. to noon. I've already had one. That's day 1. And then noon to 6, that's day 2. Toast.
Like an alpha male.
Yeah. And then he's like, in 1 year, I'm kicking your butt.
Like
year
a Joe Rogan alpha male kind of podcast.
Someone commented, I'm about to start crying because it's so funny. The top comment was like, my guy just discovered morning, afternoon, and evening. That's so dumb, but it's so funny. You're like, what do you even mean?
I mean, there are things like, I can't remember what it's called. There was like a thing that was, I think they made, what was that like anthology show? I think David actually showed it to us. That was like all of these like little stories in New York City. And there was one about this guy, I'll think of it at some point, but there's one about this guy that was like on like the Uberman schedule. And it's like something where you sleep for 30 minutes every hour or something like that. And like, you have to like train your body into changing that, like going immediately into REM sleep and all this other stuff. But
how do you ever get REM sleep if you only sleep for 30 minutes?
Well, it's like, you have to train your body to like immediately go into it. And it's not like at 30 minutes out of the hour, but it's like, it's something where you end up sleeping like 4 hours instead of 8 hours and you get the same amount, right? But in this,
why would you ever want to limit the amount of sleep? I love sleeping.
Yeah, I know. In this particular thing, and it's like about being like hyper productive and like having twice as much time in your day and blah blah blah. But in this particular show, I think like the guy like has like a date lined up and all this other stuff, and he's really excited about it.
Oh yeah.
And it like throws off his schedule, and he misses his like 30 minute power nap, and he like spirals into like sleeping on a bench and being homeless and shit.
Man, what was that show?
I can't remember what it was called, but I mean, so there is something to that, but like I don't think that's what this guy was talking about. He doesn't have like some weird hacked sleep schedule. No. Like triple day thing. He just thinks that because he segments his day differently, he's being more productive. I like the guy. It's like a chubby guy. And he's like 8 to 9, day 1, 9 to 10, day 2.
Yeah. He's the
like,
guy at the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But
yeah, like finding stuff like that makes me laugh that hard, and I start like crying, laughing, and it just the best part is how much it loops, and you're like, it keeps happening, and you're like, it's just like the thing before with the fart playlist, like it won't stop, and so you can't like get away from it.
It gets back to the funny part by the time you're
exactly
recovering.
But I love to laugh that hard, so I actually.
But I totally agree with you. Like I feel like we have, especially right now, like between like you said earlier today. You're starting a business. Like my job is super hands-on. We're starting a podcast. We've got like another side business idea that we're exploring. Whatever else. Like we've got all this stuff going on, and like still, like I don't feel like I'm out of time on anything. It's just like there are times where I'm like I really need to prioritize better and make sure that I'm like segmenting my time a little bit better, but not to the point where I'm like I need to only sleep 4 hours a night. And like I think also we're just the type of people, like you said, that value sleep so much that I'm like I if I could hack my schedule to sleep 12 hours, that would be amazing.
Seriously, like I love it and I value it and I recognize when I need it. So like there were days when I was at my last job, where it was like painfully busy. I was like, I'm about to freak out. Like before the Vegas event, 1 month before that, when we announced the event, which was dumb, I was in Madrid, which is not only like 7 hours ahead, but I was working with people on the West Coast, so it was 9 hours ahead. It was so hard. I was so incredibly tired.
Tired by talking about sleep.
I know, right? Yeah, exactly. And despite how busy I was and how much was going on and how high the pressure was, I was like, I'm going to go take a nap.
Yeah.
Like I need it. I have to.
Well, I go through like phases, and it's usually when I'm lifting really heavy and like actually going to the gym like all the days of the week, where like I like get into phases where I'm like every day I need to take an hour and a half nap. And luckily like my schedule like allows for that, because I can work late, work early. I kind of set my own schedule as long as like people are aware. But I mean I love sleeping. I'm
one of those annoying people that can nap for 25 minutes and feel better.
And I feel like, and I may be wrong, but like I actually, and I think this is something we differ on, one of the main reasons that I like sleeping is because I have and really enjoy like super vivid dreams. Like I like actually like I love and I super embrace like when I have like a wild fucking crazy dream. I'm like, that was cool. That was fun.
Okay, I don't...
Yeah, but like I feel like you're like, no, it distracts me from my sleep.
I don't dislike it because there's two versions, right? So one version is I slept so hard. I had weird... Like last night, I slept really well. We actually like went to bed at a normal time. We didn't drink, all the things.
Yeah.
And I fell asleep almost immediately. And I had really weird like elevator dreams. But they weren't stressful. And they weren't like... It wasn't a stress dream. Yeah. And I wasn't like under the surface. You know, like when you're trying to sleep and like you're awake and then you're right here. It's those nights where you're dreaming and you're right here the whole time. Those dreams that you like, I like those too, but you're like way down there.
Yeah. But that's also me like every time I go to sleep.
You're super
like I
annoying.
lay down. Well, we've talked about this before too. Like I lay down, immediately fall asleep, go
on your back over the covers like a psychopath.
Sleep. I do sleep like a psychopath. I sleep on my back like I'm in a coffin, like arms next to me over the covers. I just imagine like somebody breaking into the house and I just like...
like robot, like sit up. Yeah. Well, it's really
and
annoying.
They're just like, never mind. I'm getting the fuck out
I'm going to get out of here. It's really annoying for me the nights that I can't sleep, which is actually pretty rare. And I'm not the type to just like stay in bed and deal with it. Like I'll just get up. But I'll look over and you are just...
Yeah.
Oh my God, the nights that you snore, I want to kill you. Oh my God, this happened in London, that same trip.
Yeah.
You fell asleep pretty fast. And I was totally jet lagged, so I just couldn't sleep. And you started snoring. And I did the thing where I literally just like pushed on your lower leg. And it doesn't wake you up, but it does stop you and you adjust and you stop snoring.
Deactivating snore mode.
I mean, seriously. But I had to do it like 7 times in a row. you kind of did snap.
I remember that. I'm like,
RoboCop, and you're like this, and you go, "Is there a problem?" And I go, "Yeah, there's a fucking problem. You won't stop snoring." You're like, "Why are you nudging me so much?" Yeah. I thought about moving to the couch the other night. I literally was like, "It was
recently?"
bad. Yes, like 2 nights ago. I had to nudge you so many times, and you would stop. But then it would start again, and I'm like...
Yeah, it's when I'm congested because of my allergies.
You need to like prop up your head a little more
through my nose, so I mouth breathe.
You're not allowed to do the mouth tape thing.
I'm going to get like that hostage tape stuff.
That just made me think of that movie Ransom, that Mel Gibson movie where they kidnap his kid and they put like duct tape over his eyes and his mouth.
What was it? I think it was your mom's house. We'll tell her jokes. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I do sleep I go to sleep very quickly, no matter what. And like, we've talked about this before on the podcast, and like, as me and as a man primarily, but also just like as me, I'm like, I just stop thinking about stuff. I just
we did talk
turn
about
my
this.
brain off and I go to sleep.
It's not a thing that most women are capable of. Like, I definitely am not. It is always moving.
I think you asked, and I don't remember if we talked about this specifically. I remember you asking me at one point, you're like, how do you go to sleep so quickly? And I'm like, I don't know. I just think about me sleeping.
I picture myself sleeping. I'm like, fuck you.
And then, but I do wake up. Like, I'll wake up very often, especially if we've had a couple drinks. I wake up at like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, well, fuck.
I'm awake now.
Yeah.
But you work with people in Malaysia, so you're like, well,
Yeah.
I'll go get some work done. They're online.
There are some times where I just like get up and I'm like, well, I guess I'll work from 3 to 11. You know, like,
Yeah.
But
there are times where like I'm trying to sleep and I'm really stressed about something, and it goes one of two ways. Either I'm capable of stopping myself from spiraling, and I'm like, this is not productive. Just let yourself sleep.
yeah,
You'll wake up, you'll feel better, you'll deal with whatever the problem is. Then other times, recently especially, something is really stressing me, and like this weird new voice has appeared in my head that's like
a new voice in your head.
that's like, no, if you think hard enough about it, you might come up with an idea. So think of ideas. I think it's because I heard something recently that was like, if you want to come up with like a creative solution, ask yourself the question and go to sleep.
Yeah.
Like, don't try to answer it, just put it out there. I think my brain is like misunderstanding the
So
assignment.
we have to think about it
Now.
Yeah.
Okay. What if you did this?
What you should try, and I've heard this works sometimes for some people, is like have a notebook in your nightstand, and like whatever you're thinking about, write it down.
Yeah.
And then just like, and if you have to like write down and like whatever your thoughts are at the time, just like get it out.
Yeah.
Instead of just, cause like when I get stuck, you know, in the occasions, cause like it happens to me on the other end, where I'll wake up at 3 a.m. and all the stuff starts coming through my head and like cycling. And I end up in this loop where I'm just like, well, what about this?
Yeah.
What about this? What about this glass?
And then you start going to sleep and your mind's like, wait, we should start at the beginning.
If there's an orange in that glass, there's an orange over there. And you think about that and you're like, but the orange in this glass. And you just go on this like cycle forever.
The things that I'm thinking about are way worse than that.
No, I'm not talking about oranges and
I'm
glasses.
just imagining like the man's brain that we've described that's basically blank.
Yeah.
And you're it's keeping
like
me up at night worrying about the
work
garden.
And like all of the like stuff on my to-do list or whatever, and I'm just like going through it back and forth and like, well, I should be doing this, and if I were doing this and if I did this better, I could be doing this, and like you just go in a loop for forever.
Right. But
and
there
if
are
you
times
like
where
write
I
it down and get it out,
so
you write it down and get it out, and then in the morning you can catch up on it. But anyway, I think
I have a closing statement.
Okay, good, because I think we're over time at this point.
Yep. This was the weirdest one we've done for sure.
Yeah, we covered. Where did we start?
Jimmy's.
Food.
Your work from home outfit.
Work from home, food, fishing,
Uchiba.
pooping,
bidets,
travel, some travel stuff, and sleep.
Okay, I'm gonna end with tomatoes.
Okay.
So we just released the sandwich episode.
Yeah.
Where Patrick joined us, and we spent probably a third of the time talking about like my family.
Yeah.
A third of the time talking about white onions,
Yeah.
raw white onions, and a third of the time talking about tomatoes.
Yeah.
The tomatoes segment takeaway was, if you're going to eat a tomato, that's not like a cooked tomato, which you should salt. But like if it's a raw tomato, you have to salt it right before you eat it. It makes all the difference in the world. What'd you do this morning?
I ate a straight up tomato.
You sliced a tomato and you put it on your toast.
No,
and you literally you went to take a bite and I go, ah!
This I did that intentionally. Because
because it's a homegrown.
The viewers should know that we grew that tomato.
I've been sitting on my phone this whole time.
We grew that tomato like in our garden. We've got like a little raised bed. We started gardening. We've got tomatoes, 4 different types of peppers.
I'm excited about
banana
that.
peppers, bell peppers, jalapenos, and
the little like lunchbox ones.
the little lunchbox red peppers. And then we've got zucchini squash, a cherry tomato plant,
and a strawberry bush,
and a little strawberry bush, which had a little flower on it this morning.
Oh, good! Finally.
It's also got a little white strawberry that's kind of underneath the leaf. That's an older one.
What did you tell me recently about strawberries? With straw?
That was Patrick was telling you about the origin of the term strawberry.
Like when they drop.
Something about how they grow really low to the ground and they'll rot because they're in touch with the ground. So you're supposed to put a layer of straw down or something. So that's what we're growing in the raised bed. And then we've got our like worm compost pile in the back. And proud. From all the food scraps, we're starting to sprout like celery from a
garlic
discarded
too, right?
piece of celery and garlic back there. So we're starting our farm. And so we harvested not only our first tomato, but like the first thing that was done growing, which was a set of tomatoes. And I wanted to taste them in their like pure form. And
we also had to.
Oh yeah, because one of the cats threw them on the ground and they were getting bruised and beat up. So it was time to.
Such assholes. We buy them from the store. They stay on the counter. We grow them. They're like.
And I think maybe they can smell it. They're like, oh, these smell good.
Yeah.
But I think those tomatoes tasted really good. It's like that you were eating something today where you're like, it tastes like nothing.
Oh, it was a clementine.
Yeah. And like sometimes you get a tomato where you're like, it kind of tastes good. And like, but this was like, I'm like, oh, I understand why people eat tomatoes now. This is good.
Yeah. Agreed. I still think you should salt it, but it was just funny because
you made such a big deal about it. Exactly. We just reviewed that episode, and
right?
I was just
it was a whole and even you were like, "Oh yeah, oh yeah, you gotta salt your tomatoes."
Well, I was mostly making fun of you.
Okay.
Because you're like, you get so offended if I don't put salt and pepper on it.
Well, you do lots of things in the kitchen that I'm like, you're like Kylie Jenner or whatever. Kendall
Nobody's
Jenner.
ever made.
She is holding a like cucumber and then she's cutting it like this.
I do not do that.
I know.
I have great knife skills. Anyway,
this is hypercritical.
Thanks for joining us on this
fucked up episode.
An amazing journey that we've had today. Next week, you won't believe what we have in store. I don't know, but it's got to be something outlandish and to beat the poop and.
For a second, I thought it was Tahoe, but you're not coming.
I'm not going.
There will be no podcast in 2 weeks, and it's his fault.
I'll be recording it solo. Viewers will plummet. The podcast will lose all of the 5 legitimate subscriptions that it has. Now, but
Dan will stick with you.
Yeah, I'll always have Dan. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, buddy. All right. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to all of our amazing patrons
every time
for sponsoring us and allowing us to do this great podcast. Bye.
This is where you're supposed to get up and you walk over.
Yeah.
What's next week's drink going to be?
I don't know. You're the drink master now. You get to decide. What do you think?
I don't know. I still want to do like a cosmopolitan.
That just feels like such a girly drink.
It is like the girliest drink.